So, welcome to our third episode of our Minecraft in Unity series. This time we were checking out how to make our blocks breakable and how to be able to place new ones, like that. And in this episode, I'd like to focus on how to create an inventory system like you used to in Minecraft, excluding crafting, which I will do at some point in the future. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. So to start off, I'm going to create a new object to my canvas. If you want to find out how we created the canvas itself, please check out the video. And create a new subgame object, which will be an image, which I can now assign my inventory sprite to, and increase its size to an appropriate level. And now I'm going to attach my inventory script to the inventory object right away. You can find this one in the description. I will be talking about it at the end of this video too. And now all that's left for us to do is to attach our canvas right here and our window right into this slot. As we don't want to start with the inventory UI right into our face, right at the start of the game, let's better hide this one for now. So in the game I'm going to press E now, and by doing that our inventory window gets enabled. We're able to see our mouse cursor again and to move it around freely as you used to. Now let's continue by making these slots actually working and by adding a new inventory item to our inventory. So first of all, to make our slots working, let's create an empty game object. And here we can add our slots. Attach our inventory slot script to it, that I will explain to you later. Decrease its scale a bit and deploy them right onto the slots of our graphic, and for the other rows as well. And that's it. Now insert these to our inventory script by locking it in the inspector, selecting all of our inventory slots and then dragging them right here. Next, let's create a separate space for our items and assign it to the item parent parameter. And finally, let's create our first item, which needs to be an image. Make it a bit smaller, and we need to add an event trigger to it with a drag trigger, which we'll call the drag function of our inventory script, and a pointer down trigger that we'll call the corresponding start drag function with the script of our inventory item that we need to add first. I'd like to create a new prefab out of it. So as an example image, I'd like to have this oak planks texture right here that you should know by now. And now I want to add a new text to it to be able to show our item's amount. And I think I'm gonna increase the size of it a bit, change the alignment, make it white, and change its rect scale a bit. There you go. Now I can assign my amount text right here, set a default amount, and for a specific oak planks item I can already move it right here. Change its name to oak planks. Assign the corresponding slot, and vice versa. And next I'm going to explain these three simple scripts to you that make our inventory behave as it should be. If you're not interested in those, you can simply skip to the next section and also find them in the description. So first, our inventory slot does just have a handle to the item that is stored in it. The inventory item script contains these attributes that I was showing you earlier, which is the name of the item, the slot that's currently in, a link to its text component, and the actual amount. With this setAmount function, we are able to update the amount attribute and the display text as well. And with the increaseAmount function, you simply set the amount to the current amount plus the increment. And for the inventory script, besides that stuff that you already know, there are two hidden attributes. The open parameter that will be true or false depending if the inventory is currently getting displayed, and the dragged item that, as you can imagine, stores the item that we're currently holding. In the update method, I want to toggle the inventory each time that we press E. If we're currently dragging an item, I want to make sure to render it at the very end by changing its child index, which means its place in Unity's hierarchy. And as soon as the player makes the wise decision to click right, then, but only if the amount of the item that we're currently holding is greater than 1, I want to create a new inventory item, which will be of the same kind as the one that we're currently holding, and it should be stored below the item parent in the hierarchy. We want to add our triggers to it, which means being able to drag and drop it. Set its amount to 1. Decrease the amount of our stack that we're holding by 1, and drop the newly created item into the nearest slot. And finally, as soon as we notice the player is not holding left anymore, we want to drop the item that we have in our hand. Our toggle inventory function looks a bit more complicated than it is. We take the current state of our window and invert it, and then enable or disable the window, make the cursor visible or invisible, set the open flag, and depending if we're enabling it or disabling it, lock cursor in the center of our screen. Our start drag function gets called in the first frame of our drag. It assigns the dragged item to our dragged item variable, removes the item from its previous slot, and tells the item that it currently isn't in any slot. In our drag function, we got our mouse cursor's position in Unity through these 3 lines, and if we got a dragged item, move it to this exact position. Then in our drop function, which is by far the longest of all of them, we calculate the closest slot by iterating through all of them, and as soon as we catch one slot whose distance is below the lowest one, we make it our new nearest slot. If our target slot does already have an item stored, we either combine it to one single slot, or if it's a whole different item, put it on top of it, which isn't really what you're allowed to in Minecraft, so we should probably take a look at this one again when making our crafting system. And in case our target slot is empty, we can simply put an item there. Okay, never mind, I just changed it so that in case our target slot is already filled and it's a different kind of item, or the stack is already at its maximum, then we simply put our dragged item back to the slot that was last in, which is calculated simply like that. We got our target slot variable right here, and each time the script notices that the inventory item is in any type of slot, we assign it to our last slot attribute. And finally, in our add item triggers function, we simply add our triggers for pointer down and drag, since we're initializing our inventory items from ground on. Now how about taking a look at our final result? And again, you can get access to this demo project on my Patreon. So let's see what happens if I press E. Then our inventory shows up properly, and I'm able to drag and drop this stack of oak planks. And if I click right while holding my stack, then I'm able to drop a few of them into the nearest slot, but only if my amount being held is greater than 1. And by dropping one stack onto another, I'm able to combine it into a single stack. And if I hit E again, we return back into our game. So if you want to find out how we let our player, or how we made our blocks work like that, please check out the playlist, and I'll see you next time.